Hey guys, Coffee here. Really hope this works because this is the sixth time trying to record anything. Still getting used to setups and all that stuff. I'm just getting used to life in general. Because life is weird. So of course 2020 is absolutely a shit show. And also the year that I came out as trans. So a lot of people over like Facebook or Twitter or even in real life are just like, well, wait a minute. This is really sudden. How can you just now be trans? And I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit for the sixth time, because this is not the first time recording this video. Like right now I have my cell phone, and there we go, and a camera. I have another camera right there, which is what I was trying to use to record, because I keep thinking about like gamer setups. Well, they have the game here and facecam here, so I wanted to kind of try something like that, because this is also something to keep up with, like, I guess a transition blog, so that anything testosterone changes, you guys can see. But it's just kind of like, I'm just experimenting right now. But anyways, enough rambling about that. So I wanted to kind of talk about what it is like to be trans, and like, while it is a fresh thing, like I'm not like 7 years down the line, like I literally started testosterone last week. And I wanted to give my thoughts on it, like while it's still new, and how I came to the decision to transition in the first place. Because again, to everyone else around me, it's just like, well, this is new, this is sudden. Coming out is very new, very sudden. It is not, it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as choosing to be trans, because no one chooses it. No one chooses to wake up one day and get disowned by their family. Because that's essentially what's happening. And I wanted to talk about, like, how I figured it out. What gave me the mental clarity to decide to do this. Just like, most trans people you find on the internet, they'll have kind of a similar story. They never fit in as a kid. They always knew something was different about them, and they couldn't understand why. And if you are from a more conservative family, more traditional family, the weirdness of everything is very blatant. Like, part of me thinks my parents knew about what was going on with me, because my siblings and stuff, they were allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted. If they wanted to have friends over, or like boyfriends, girlfriends over, they were allowed to do any of that. But I was not even allowed to wear basic t-shirts, because they'd be like, oh, well, you can't do that, you look like a boy. But why is it, like, it didn't make sense, like, why is it with me they were so strict on that? I think they knew something was up. The thing about it is, like you'll hear what many others say, I didn't fit in with any kids. Like, I felt like I fit in more with the boys as a kid, but I wasn't allowed to hang out with them because I was a girl. But I knew damn well I didn't fit in with the girls. It was just kind of something I pushed out of my head, because I just thought I was normal and that everyone was as confused as I was. Years later, I end up more questioning, and I guess like most trans men decide, I was just a tomboy. Which I knew deep down that wasn't true. My first relationship, my first crush or whatever, ended up being with a gay guy. And, like, the reasons that me and him had problems was all because I was a girl. And again, that was really confusing to me, because it was like mind on one side, body on one side, and they were just not connecting. So she's like, well, wait a minute. If you're gay, why don't you like me? Kind of thing. It was really confusing, and just like my life in general was confusing, because things like that would come up, like, repeatedly. When I was 14, like, I had hair all the way down to, like, basically past my butt, and I was Yeah, very, very long hair. And when I was 14, I cut it off. And I never grew it out again because I felt like the short hair fit me. And a lot of the comments I got after cutting my hair short, they were meant to be insults, but they felt good. My eldest brother would constantly tease me about, looking like a boy and stuff like that. And those insults made me happy. And I was just like, well, wait a minute. Why? Obviously they're trying to be mean. Why is it not having the effect that they want? And another thing is it always made me uncomfortable when people would call me pretty, when they would call me beautiful. Stuff like that. And it's not that I didn't believe them, it was just like, it just made me uncomfortable, and I didn't understand why. Because, I knew what I knew what the term was, and I was just convinced that it was just a guy that decided to be a girl, or a girl that decided to be a guy, because I was raised by a very transphobic family, very homophobic, very, very conservative, traditional Christian people. With nothing against those, it's just kind of like, let's draw Kushan instead. This is my channel, I can do whatever I want. So, time went on, and I didn't ever quite understand the feeling that I was getting, and I didn't understand why, like, looking at myself in the mirror, or being called she, or even my name, why that bothered me so much. It's just one of those things that never made sense, and I just thought it was just normal. I just thought that's the way things were supposed to be. So time went on, and I got really, really tired of my family being just awful. So I moved out. Moved out when I was 20. And I decided, you know what, I don't have to follow their rules anymore. I can dress and do whatever I want. First thing I did was I cut my hair really short, and I never grew it back out again. Never. Because I just liked the way the short hair looked. It felt like it was actually somewhat close to me, as close to me as it could get. Years went by, and I kept trying to get more in touch with my feminine side. Like, I would try to dress up, stuff like that. And the more I tried, the more it killed me inside. And again, it didn't make sense to me, because, like, why can't I be happy with who I am? Like, I always thought it was just a mind over matter thing. Like, why is the person I see in the mirror not me? And I kind of had this back and forth, just like, hey, there's a sign, and oh, wait a minute, what is that? Kind of back and forth thing with my mind for a few years, and it got really bad. The crushing feeling that I know now as gender dysphoria, it was just depression and anxiety and just general hate for myself that I didn't understand. And then we came all the way to Confusion of 2019. Before Confusion, me and my fiance at the time had like really big fights about how I'm just miserable all the time and I should try to, take care of myself better and be me. So on my way to Confusion, I stopped at the local mall, and I bought things like, I bought skirts, I bought chokers, I bought makeup, all of the stuff, because I was going to try to be what I thought I would be as a woman, and that is like the badass chick, the punk woman. So I get all the way to my hotel at Confusion, and I decide I'm going to do a test run because I've never used makeup before, and you know, I should learn how to do it if I'm going to be a woman. So I'm in my hotel, I get clean, I do all that stuff, and I put on like the makeup, and I put on the skirt, the dress, the heels, all that stuff. I spent probably $150 on clothes and stuff like that. Just trying to be comfortable in my own skin, so to speak. And so I put it all on, and the makeup didn't turn out bad. And I'll be honest, I looked really good, but it killed me. It hurt so deeply, and I just sat there for maybe 5 hours, and that's not even an exaggeration. I was there until 3, 4 a.m. just bawling and being like, I spent all this money, all this time, and that's still not me. Why is that not me? So I ended up falling asleep. I slept on the floor because that's just where I fell asleep that night. It was a really, really bad night. And so I woke up, I got cleaned up all again, and I had accidentally taken a lot of my fiance's clothes. Like, he had a flannel shirt that was either green or red. I think it was the red one. And I had just bought a red beanie, like one of my OCs. And I put that on, and I dressed really masculine. I cut my hair that morning, like, really masculine and short. And I went to the convention. So I get to this convention, and I have my table set up and everything, and I'm just, waiting for customers, and a group of little kids come by. Not little kids, but like maybe 13, 14. And they're like, hey, hello, what's your pronouns? And I'm just kind of like, what? And they were just like, what's your pronouns? Do you prefer to be called like he or she? And I'm just kind of like, and I'm sitting there for a minute, I'm just like, no one's ever asked me this before. Sorry for being, awkward about it. It's just like kind of a sudden thing. And they were patient. They're just like, take your time. We'll be here. And so I just like think about it for a moment. I'm just like, he. And they're just like, okay. And they run away, and it's just like, to them it was probably just like, they don't even remember me. But for me, it was just kind of like, is it really okay to go by that? And I met several other people over the weekend who was asking the same questions, do you prefer he or she? And consistently I would be saying, prefer he, sir, things like that. And for the first time in my life, I was actually comfortable with being addressed by anyone, because they weren't addressing me as ma'am, as she, and it felt really good for the first time in my life. And of course, I never go by my birth name at conventions. I go by Coffee, same name I go here, everywhere, and that happened a couple of years ago, because I already knew that my name was making me uncomfortable. So I made a new profile on Facebook with my pen name, and the gender I chose was male. And like, the way people would talk to me and treat me, it felt like they were actually responding to me and not something else. Like, it felt like they were actually acknowledging me for once. So I leave Confusion, which the name of the convention is it's a very confusing time for Confusion. So I leave Confusion and I go home, and of course I am very confused about all the things that have just transpired. And it took a couple of more months of back and forth of being like, well, what does this mean? I'm definitely not trans. Like, you never think that would be you. You never think that's what you would be. Like, even now we have the coronavirus going on. you know, you don't think that it'd be you catching it, because like, oh, that won't happen to me. But sure enough, that's what was happening to me, and I was just ignoring and fighting all the signs. And I remember having a very long, uncomfortable conversation with a trans boy that I'm friends with on Facebook. And I used the cover of, oh, well, this is for a character, and I don't want to write this character wrong. And at the time, I believed that. I believed that my questioning was for a character that was supposed to appear in my story. And he talked with me a lot about it, and like all the things, like explaining what dysphoria was and what it was like to be trans. It was just like, wait a minute, that sounds like me. But it was just like, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not, you know, trans. Because, again, I was just like very in denial, very just like, no. Like, the term terrified me at the time. And it wasn't until maybe January that I actually started accepting the term of being trans. And because I was on Reddit, and I don't remember what the post was, but I had commented on someone's post that was trans related, and one of the replies to me was, you know, you don't have to have a dick to be a guy. And it was just like, well, why did that make me happy? Like, for the first time in my life, things were actually starting to make me happy. And that's probably the biggest change I noticed. So I'm just making do. So yeah, around January, I started like actually adopting the terms, like the pronouns, and just going by the name Coffee, because I didn't think about like name changes, and I wasn't even thinking about things like actually transitioning at the time. I didn't think that that was something I could do until I found someone contacted me through Facebook, because people had been watching like things unfold through Facebook and stuff. And they contacted me and they helped me find step 1 of transitioning. And I didn't hesitate. I started right then trying to make it happen. And it didn't terrify me. All my life, I have been the kind of person to hesitate, to think about what I'm about to do. With this one, it was just like, well, do you want to transition? It was just like, yes, give me that. Let me do it. And within 2 months, I had an appointment at, you know, a clinic in Memphis to start, you know, hormone treatments and stuff. And the original appointment wasn't supposed to be until like next week, like the end of March. And I was supposed to go to River Region Con, and by then I was already dressing very masculine, using masculine soaps and stuff. And the woman who was supposed to set up my appointment at this clinic called and was just like, hey, we're about to close down Monday because of the coronavirus. If you want in and not to have your appointment canceled, you know, come in Monday at 8 a.m. And I was there. I was there at 8 a.m. for this appointment. And now I am very happy to say that I am 1 week on testosterone. And like the way my life has changed is just like, I never thought it was possible to be happy. I never thought it was possible to see my future aside from my work. Like, my work was all the future I had and all the future I wanted at the time, because I didn't think it was possible for me personally to have a future. But now I can see myself and my future clearly, and like the weight that was just like bogging me down and holding me down it's gone. And I've never been happier, and I know it's only going to go up from here. So the reason I'm saying all this and telling you my story is. I know there's probably someone out there who is questioning right now, who might stumble upon my channel or see this video and be like, and they gain some understanding. Or I want, you know, people who might maybe just want to be educated on the matter. You know, I want to be that person. I want to be someone that people can look up to and be like, you know, you can learn something, or maybe you can have some more understanding for the way things are around you. And that's the main reason why I'm doing this and saying all this, is because I want to help people learn and understand things, especially things about being trans, because one of the reasons why people are so scared of it is because it's something that is not much talked about. And people are scared of the things that they don't understand. They're scared of the things that they don't understand. And I want to help people understand what it is to be trans. It's not a choice. It's not something that is bad. Like, even with things like religion and the Bible, which a lot of Christians want to throw the Bible at you and be like, well, the Bible says no. The Bible does not say no to being trans. In fact, if anything, it says, you know, there's several examples in the Bible of people who don't conform to gender norms. And I think it just confuses a lot of people and causes a lot of pain in families that don't understand what it is or what the Bible says about it. And that's going off on a little bit of a tangent, I know, but it is something that is very prevalent in my family, that they're just like, oh, well, you can't be trans, the Bible says no. And I'm just like, show me where. And they can't. So, yeah, I wanted to give a little bit of insight from someone who is newly trans and just transitioning, and also to use this as a kind of transition vlog to keep up with like changes and voice changes and everything like that. And also, I wanted to definitely catch up on YouTube and stuff, because it is definitely something I want to do, because anything that has been important in my life has come from YouTube, whether that be manga or trans-related things. So I definitely wanted to, you know, use this as a platform to educate and hopefully to entertain. And if you are curious about my character, this is Kushong from my series Legend of the Erased. Legend of the Erased is a psychological dark fantasy about a creator who gets pulled into a nightmare realm of her own creations. If it sounds interesting to you, please check it out on legendoftheerased.com. It is in the description box below. And if you like this video, like it, subscribe. But yeah, that's all I got for you today, and thanks for watching.